All right, lads. Welcome back to me podcast, Cheaper Than Therapy. Mick Thomas here. Thanks for tuning in, liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting. I appreciate all the support, and the numbers on the Mick Thomas train keep going up, and you are a huge part of that. I hope you're all well in quarantine, keeping your family and friends at a safe distance. And speaking of friends and a safe distance, right now joining me is my long-term buddy and comedy buddy, very funny comedian, actor, one of my best friends, Chris Roach, everybody. All right, mate, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, Mick?
Good to have you, man. We haven't spoken a while.
That's the nicest thing you ever
right?
said about me.
I'll edit that out later, though.
Yeah.
I like this piece of shit.
I feel like I
owes me
haven't talked to you
$10.
in like a week or two.
It's been a while, man. Yeah, someone asked me the other day, when was my last gig? And I think it was when you and I were down in Philly. Was it Philly? We did that Jewish temple.
Yeah. Wow. When was that?
It was before Easter. Remember, there's a lot of chocolate around. So obviously it was, remember, It was like,
trying to think. It was definitely March.
I can't remember, man. Because I was just back from Ireland and,
right.
Yeah, but we did that Jewish temple. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yes, temples could be fun. It's a very smart audience, and they like comedy.
And isn't it weird too that around like Jewish people in a temple, they usually, not all the time, but they usually don't mind bad language.
They don't. They want you to let loose. They like.
But you couldn't do that in a Catholic. Like if they had a comedy in a Catholic church, you couldn't say "fuck shit arse."
No, I've done comedy shows, and one time I did one on the North Shore of Long Island, and the priest was literally sitting up front, and man, talk about pressure! Like I was so mindful of every word I was saying. And you go to a temple, they're like, "No, let loose."
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I've done shows in front of priests before, but they weren't. It wasn't a religious event. They were just there. And I did one gig in front of this guy, and he's still a good friend of mine in Patchogue now, Father Patrick Wayne. And he still texts me like, "Hey man, when are we gonna go for a drink?" And like, he just wants to go drinking with me, and like, he's just the fucking funniest guy. He's just like this old priest, and he's a cool guy to hang out with. But like I said, the Jewish temples were always like kind of like, what I found about the Jewish temples too? It always depended on the order and when you went up.
That's important too. I've had let's say I must have done over 100 temples, and the only one bad show I had was on their holiday is called Purim.
I don't know that one. Yeah.
In the book of Esther in the Old Testament, there was like a guy, Haman. He was trying to kill the Jews, and it ended up blowing up in his face. So they do this thing where they go down, they read from the book of Esther, and every time they mention his name, they hit like party.
That's fucking cool. That's a cool tradition. Can you imagine if we did that? Like, you're Catholic, right? You were raised Catholic.
I'm sorry. Somebody was calling me. Did you hear what I said?
No. What did you say?
Oh, because all of a sudden I couldn't hear anymore when somebody was trying to call me. So cut that little clip out.
No, but that's fine. So, but you were raised Catholic, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like me. So imagine we had that. Like, anytime anyone mentioned Judas's name, you just set off a whoopee cushion.
Right. Something like that. Yeah. Woo!
Judas.
Right.
Or wah 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 wah.
And then Judas comes walking in with this.
Wah 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 wah.
Way to go.
You know what? I think his biggest punishment was, and I was talking to my daughter about this the other day. I think Judas's biggest punishment was because Jesus forgave him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Jesus go, "We're all right, mate. We're good. Forget about it. Don't worry. Don't you worry about it. We're fine. We're fine."
Right.
You rat bastard. Because Judas was a huge part, because if Jesus Jesus wanted to die for our sins. So if Judas didn't rat him out, then he wouldn't have died for our sins. You know what I mean? Probably got hit. Maybe Jesus, he would have got hit by a chariot crossing the street or something.
He was part of the plan the whole time.
Yeah.
He was integral. He was an integral part of the story.
Yeah, man, he really was. And even though Jesus forgave him, I always think that, like, the biggest punishment, he's like, you know what, Judas, from now on, no one will ever take your name. If you even, I know he hung himself, but if you decide to go off and have a kid and you have a son, like, you won't even get to call him Judas Jr. Like, there's no other Judases.
Right. Think about the worst names to be called in history. There's Judas. There is Benedict Arnold.
Yeah.
And then from Shakespeare, who is it? Brutus. Who stepped Julius?
Brutus?
Who stepped
Brutus
Julius
was
Caesar?
I think it Brutus was the guy from Popeye.
Oh, that guy. No, that's
Oh, you might be thinking of Barabbas.
Barabbas is from the New Testament.
No, Barabbas is when they went to. I'm so sorry, guys, from a religion, but it's just. But Barabbas was. Remember when the Romans were going to let a prisoner go?
Yeah, they let Barabbas.
Like, out on good behavior. So, like, we let Barabbas go, we let Jesus go, and then Barabbas. Fucking politics.
But who was the guy that stabbed Julius Caesar?
A bunch of people stabbed Julius Caesar. Though.
I thought that was Brutus, and then Popeye is the bad guy. Bluto.
Bluto. Yeah, there's never Officer Bluto.
We're gonna need some fact checking.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that. And also, I was gonna say Hitler, but that was a last name, right? That was a surname.
Oh, Hitler. Yeah. Oh my God.
That was a last name. But I think everybody kind of may have got rid of that name.
Yeah.
You know what? Fuck it. If anyone asks from now on, we are the Smiths.
We are the Smiths. It is Hitler. Hitler.
The postman. Hello, I have a telegraph here for Jonathan Hitler. No, we are the Smiths. What are you talking about? Get out of here.
No. This is bad joke.
So, man, how are you holding up with all this?
I'm doing all right. I've been trying to focus on doing some writing, and the only thing is, I got to get out and start doing some walking or something, because I feel like I've just been homebound. Today we drove to my sister's. We did one of those birthday caravans that you see everybody do. We drove by her house.
Really?
I know. She loved it though, made her happy. But I mean, other than that, it's like, and food shopping. Other than that, like, when do you really go out?
Yeah, I've been out a lot because I work out outside my house. Like, I run, like, yesterday or the other day I ran for 7 miles, and
Jesus
not because
Christ.
I'm determined. Like, I'm gonna run. It's just like, it's fuck it. I'm out now. Let me just keep going while I can. Like, I was like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, normally I would have a goal of where I'm gonna run. I'm like, all right, 7, or if it's a treadmill, I may run I don't own a treadmill, but at the gym, let me go for 30 minutes. I don't care what distance that is. I'm doing 30 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever my goal is. Now it's like, I'm out. Fuck it. Let me just keep going.
Right.
So I'm out like that. But I do go to Walmart a lot more than I've ever done. Just,
really?
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta go get something. Just whatever the fuck it is. Just let me get the fuck out of the house.
Are you wearing a mask and protection when
I am now. Up until about a week ago, I started wearing a mask and gloves because I heard this doctor was like, guys, just wear a mask and gloves, you'll be fine. That's it, because it can be spread from people coughing or sneezing around you, or it can be spread just by touching shit where it has the coronavirus. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah. Let me just pair of gloves it in. And in my car, I have a thing of Purell. And the second I get in my car after being anywhere, like grocery shopping, I just blob it into my hand and give it a rub, And it's like, I think we're going to be fine, But you have asthma, though, right?
Yeah, so I got to be careful with the asthma too, and then there's like my wife and I still are not 100% sure that we didn't already have it back in like the end of February. Like my symptoms, I thought were closer to the flu, but my wife's were very close to the coronavirus.
Really?
I had to take her to the emergency room.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Actually, I think it was like March 3rd. We took because she couldn't stop coughing enough to even get errands. She got scared, so we took her to the ER, and they did it. They didn't even test us for the flu. The guy's like, you got the flu. I was like, all right, don't. So, but now now there's something to test people for antibodies, and we're hoping to get that test to see if. I guess if you had the virus and you beat it, now you have like a golden pass to go anywhere you want.
Do they pay you for that, or is it like your civic duty?
No, they're taking. I guess you would say more of a civic duty. Yeah, they have people. I think they started it in Michigan. Like Michigan's like the guinea pig of this whole antibody testing thing. They're bringing people in that had it. Or thought they had it, at least tested them for the antibody. But that's the thing. Are they going to bring us in are they going to bring people in just because they had it, or people that think they may have had it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird, man, because like, I think if you have it, they're not going to leave you alone. Because I remember, like, I gave blood at my daughter's school over a year ago, and those motherfuckers, man, don't stop calling for my blood. I don't even have a rare blood type. They just fucking call me for my blood constantly.
Oh man,
You know what I mean? And I'm
yes.
I'm just saying to him, like, nah, you came to the stage where I started to lie to them. I'm like, yeah, you know, I just got a tattoo. And they go, all right, because you're not allowed in the state of New York, you're not allowed to give you're not allowed to give blood 6 months after. I'm like, all right, we'll take you off the list. A week later, I'll go by. Hey, are you with blood? And I'm driving. I go, listen, I had a weekend with some very questionable people, and we did a lot of stuff with needles. And I swear to God, and my daughter's looking at me in the car, and they're like, oh, okay, we'll take you off the list, like, forever, because I wouldn't fucking want blood off me after what I did. And they're just like, yeah, well, and I still get the calls. But if you have the if you have the antibodies for this shit, man, they're gonna hunt you down.
Mick, I'm telling you, it was like 10 years ago. I'm walking in the city after an audition, and you always see those people with the clipboards, right?
Yeah.
The young lady approaches me. I got a little time on my hands. She seemed nice, so I start talking to her, and she wants to know if I want to sign the petition to have gay marriage approved in New York State. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll join your petition. So I signed that petition that day. It was like the HRC, Human Rights Coalition, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's been 10 years now, and I have been getting, I'm trying to think of the right word to put it, but attacked with emails. And they do those sneaky emails, like the subject will read, regarding our last conversation. I'm like, oh, who was I talking to? And I open it and it says, please donate money to the HRC. I'm like, oh, God. And one time they're sending it like different names, and they're being very clever and creative. And one time I wrote back, I said, do me a favor, can you just maybe take me off the email list? And they made me feel like I was a horrible person, like, oh, you don't support the gay rights? I'm like, no, I didn't say that. It's just your campaign is very, very aggressive.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there's a lot of people like that. I remember when I was flying into Florida, and I was at Long Island MacArthur, and I was just walking in, and the woman there was just very pushy. Like, she was like my mother. She was an older woman. And then I was like, I can't remember what I bought. Something like, I think I bought a Red Bull because it was early in the morning, and I bought maybe peanuts, just like a healthy snack. And she's like, would you like a blanket for the flight? I'm like, no, do you want a pillow? Do you want to get a magazine? I'm like, fucking shut up. Like, but then she goes to me, she goes, would you like to support the troops? I mean, of course I support the troops. Like, what do you mean would I like to support the troops? I goes, and she goes, well, help you send them money. And I was like, don't my taxes pay for the troops?
Right. Isn't that supporting the troops?
Don't I help enough? Like, and then it's like, you say no, and it's not that I don't support the troops, because, man, you and I have done more gigs for free.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
For free. Yes. And we never talk about this publicly. You never hear comics come forward and go, I worked for this charity. I did a show for this charity for free. We do an average before all this shit went down, right? You would agree 2 shows a week for charity for free.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And we never
gladly,
gladly, absolutely gladly. And we never fucking, like, and then you go to like all my album sales go to St. Jude's Hospital. And then you go to like a CVS or a Walgreens, and they're like, do you want to donate $1 to St. Jude's? And you go, no. And they go, ugh. And they look at you like you're a piece of shit.
Right. And I have no idea how much work you've done for that charity.
Yeah. I'm like, but I don't want to sit there and go, oh, you know what? All my album sales and shit. I don't want to be that asshole. Right. Just Google me, get my album, $10. Like, it's like, fuck you, man. It's like, but these blood people now, whenever I see an accident, I'm like, on the side of the road, like a car flipped over, and you know what? I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm going to get a call now. I'm going to get a call tomorrow.
Yeah. You must have good blood.
I don't. Very normal fucking nothing, no rare blood type, just average, everyday, shitty mud blood like everybody else.
Mud blood. I thought about giving blood. The other day I was actually feeling like, man, I feel like almost I should be doing something other than sitting home.
Right.
But what I'm going to do, I did one of those comedy shows. It was like, there was like 30 comics, and it was to raise money to buy masks.
I saw that. Were you doing stand-up or just an interview?
No, they wanted me. He asked me. The guy who ran it asked me to, if you could, stand up maybe in the corner somewhere, and if you have a microphone. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Can I just sit down and have a conversation? And in stand up comedy, we call that paneling.
Yeah, yeah.
What, like Johnny Carson used to do when he brought comedians on. It's like he is pretty much fishing their material out, giving them leading questions. Unlike that guy who. Byron Allen, it's painful. You ever watch that show, Byron
Oh,
Allen,
yeah,
Comics
yeah,
Unleashed?
Comics Unleashed. But
His
even
lead,
then, man, there's an
oh,
audience. You know what I mean? There's like a laughter. There's
left,
energy
yeah.
coming back. And I think which comedy club that I see is doing a show now tonight. I think, or it's probably over by now. I want to say the Cellar are doing a show tonight, like where they just have cameras going and just like it goes to the. I don't know if it works. I could see
I
maybe
don't, you
some.
know what? Maybe if you're a high energy comic, I don't know. I just don't see it. Like, I know they did this. A couple of comedians like Ray Romano, a couple of bigger name comedians, they did this fundraiser to raise money for some comedians that were out of work, and they pretty much just sat down at their desk or stood in their kitchen and did like a monologue or just were conversational. I think to stand up and try to do your act is awkward.
It's fake too, man. It's not
It is,
believable.
yeah, there is something. Yeah, that is
The
too. It is
only person I've seen do it well
cold.
was Joey Cola, and I said this on, and even then, like when I heard he was doing it, I kind of went, "Ugh, Joey, come on, man." But then when I
But
watched him do it, I'm like, he actually pulled it off. You know what I mean?
he's because when he's on stage, he is so much energy where they're laughing nonstop, and he doesn't stop.
Yeah, he plows. So they're like, you and I might do a bit, and then we'd have to go in our head, pause for laughter. 1, 2, 3. Next tagline. 1,
Right.
2, 3. Change the topic. You know what I mean? Like, I just think it would be
Yeah.
hard. So, like, if you were to say go do half an hour set, I would probably do an hour and a half material in a half hour because I'm
Right.
just talking.
Now, people at home, they could be laughing, and you're kind of not giving them a chance to finish laughing. You don't know.
Yeah, it's until I maybe like I can see someone like the comic strip doing it. If it
Yeah.
works for the seller, I'll do it. If it's just like fuck it, I'll go in and maybe I won't advertise it, promote it or whatever, but just to see how it goes. Because I was saying the other day to someone like I'm starting to forget my bits.
Isn't that scary? Good thing I audio record every set, and there are times when I've had like 10 days off between sets. I'll be driving to the gig and playing the audio from my last show just to like get myself back in the zone.
Yeah, man. I'm worried about forgetting my bits, and that's actually a recurring dream of mine, where I go on stage and I when I go to talk, nothing comes out.
I think that's most every comedian's nightmare. I know what happened to Joey Cola. He had some kind of I forgot what he called, some kind of like it's like they call it like this temporary amnesia where he couldn't remember any of his bits. And he said he was standing up there like terrified.
Jesus, like but what's funny though? I did a show around the start when there was talks of this lockdown, and I did a show for Mike Calcagno, Long Island comedian. And he said, I'm running open mic. Can you come down? I go, Mike, I'm not above open mics. Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm free. Let me come down. So it was only in front of his family members in this bar. And I said, fuck. But I went, I did a bit that I hadn't done in, I'd say, 8 years. And I was able to just, like, this muscle memory kicked in. So maybe when I start doing it again, it'll just start to flow out again. You know what I mean?
I'm hoping. The way I visualize it, I'm going to go up there and just be honest and be like, listen, I haven't been on stage in a few months.
Yeah, but everybody's going to be in the same boat.
Yeah, I think so. Like 16 years I've been doing it, and it hasn't been more than 10 days that I've gone without getting on stage. So it's going to be it'll be interesting to say the least.
Yeah. Do you now, because like you're also an actor. You've a nice you have a very, very nice resume. You've worked with Al Pacino. You've done scenes with Pacino. You've been a regular on a world, that's international sitcom. Is that what they call it? International.
Sure.
Right.
Well,
Kevin
yeah.
on Kevin Can Wait, and you do a lot of acting. So has all auditions stopped totally?
You know what's interesting about that is right the first 2 weeks of March, when things started slowing down, they started asking for self submissions,
I saw that.
which
I got emails from from companies too.
yeah. So I was able to self submit, but still, if it went well, I don't know if I would have heard by now. It just seems like things are like shut down in Hollywood right now. But I did get an email from my agent the other day, and the show NCIS just they want everybody to pick a scene or pick sides from the script. They call them sides, which is pretty much is just a scene from the episode.
Right.
Pick sides from one of their episodes and put yourself on tape. It's not really an audition, but it's a way of the casting director for NCIS to see who's out there. Kind of like when you and I got called into where did we get called in? NBC that time was CBS. I can't. Where the hell we get called in that time?
Oh, CBS.
CBS, right?
Yeah,
we
yeah.
met with was it Catherine Eggman? I think we met with.
I met with Vinny. I can't remember his name.
Right,
horrible names, and then Amy something from head of casting and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh yes, Amy. She was so nice.
Yeah, very very nice lady. But yeah, I think that's a better way to do it, man. Because I've never understood, and I've been on a few auditions, and it's acting as much as I kind of like it, and I enjoy the things that I have done in it. Right. Stand-up is my number one love, but like I never got where they could call you the day before, come on in and read for this, and you walk in, you get one shot and you go. And I always thought, like, for what's happening, exactly how you explain it for NCIS, is that what you said?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you want the best performance from a guy? So here's a week notice. Take your time, read this, see what you want. If you want to go to an acting coach, whatever, try different options and see what works for you, as opposed to less than 24 hours notice, show up and do it and go. Like, you're not getting the best out of somebody.
No, I agree with you with that. And I think that's a lot of times with guest star roles. The only time I ever saw it different was pilot season, when they're bringing you in for a series regular.
Right.
They may send you all the sides and the script. They'll send it to you like on a Wednesday and tell you to come in on the following Tuesday. That I like, because you get time to work with, like you said, like you get time to work with an acting coach. But for the most part, it's exactly like you said. And one of the toughest parts, any acting class, any audition you take, any audition class you take, they always say after the audition's over, just say goodbye and leave. But meanwhile, you want some kind of
validation, yeah,
some kind of feedback. Like, okay, now I need I need to work on this area. Okay. I don't know. It's
they don't even give you feedback, right? It's just like once you're done, you don't even hear back from them.
No, and then with pilot season, what's interesting is there was a few times this last pilot season, a couple auditions I went on, and you got the feeling that they knew who they wanted for the role already, but they were just going through the motions. Yeah. They were bringing people in. They bring people in just in case the person they want gets another gig or something, in the contract negotiation falls through. And I even asked a casting director friend of mine, and they said it was pretty much that was the case. They'll still bring you in, but you get this feeling from the people in the casting room that's like, all right. I'm like, you want me to do it again? No, that's all right.
Yeah, man, it really is an awful part of the business. Like, it really is. Like, and I have a comedic friend of mine. You know him too, and I don't want to mention names. I'll tell you off the air if you ask me, if you remind me. He said he got invited to a house in the Hamptons, at a party, a summer house. It was like a summer party, and it was all these casting directors and stuff, and all they were doing was they were sitting there going through auditions and just laughing their asses off of people who didn't get parts. You know what I mean? And right. Our friend, the comedian, just went, he almost made me like, fuck you, man. That's someone out there putting it all on the line, like, for chasing a dream. And you're fucking sitting there because, our business, man, comedy and acting, and I could be shooting myself in the foot by saying this, but we're judged by people who can't do what we do.
It's the truth. It's the truth. And they always say, like, as an actor, if you ever get the opportunity, and I did it once, where you could be the reader at an audition. So basically you're sitting with the casting director and you're reading the other side of the script while actor after actor come into the room and they try out for the part, and I felt myself like getting nervous for each person. Like each person came in, I wanted them to kill it, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I because
That's because you have a
I
soul, man. You know, you have a good
yes,
person, and she's. But like when I heard that, I was like, "Oh fuck you, you slime ball, you like."
yeah,
You know what I mean? And then like when you see, like even with stand up, man, you see all these young comics following established comics and liking all their posts that are not even that funny, but just because, like, hey, I'm liking you. Look, see, can I? Like, I know another comic, and you know him too. When he booked certain shows, and
yeah,
he would tell you, man, he's like, man, all I do is like I get someone who might like my post, and 45 seconds later, I get a message right behind it, going, hey man, any chance I could do your gig? It's like it's slimy, man, and I just, I don't get involved in it, and that's why I have a manager. My manager looks after all that shit, and I just focus on the stand up. I just don't want to be around anything grimy like that because it just turns you off,